Hey, look, it's the Kaiju collector. Yay! Hey everyone, Nate the Kaiju Collector, and today we will be taking a look at the Bandai Toho Kaiju series, Godzilla from Godzilla 2000 Millennium. Now this figure came out when the film came out back in 1999, at the same time as Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris. So, this figure is 26 years old, and since then there has been around 3 reissues of this exact figure. Now, is this version still good after all the revisions and even remodels of this figure? Let's find out, starting with this figure's articulation, since I don't have a tag for this figure. Okay, so in terms of articulation, Godzilla has no articulation at the head, but he has a rotation back and forth at these arms here. They can go all the way around, but I'm not risking any of the paint being chipped off. Same with the other arm here. The legs can go all the way around. Actually, no, I'm not gonna risk anything chipping like the arms, but yeah, the legs can move too. And most surprisingly, the tail can rotate all the way around. It's a bit tight, but it can rotate. So, overall, Godzilla's articulation will get a solid 10 out of 10. Now, let's move on to this figure's painting and sculpting. So in terms of the paint here, Godzilla mainly has 6 colors. A dark green for the base color, a silver around the dorsal fins, a purple for the dorsal fins itself, an off-white for the claws, toes, teeth, and eyes, a red for the eye part here, and for the tongue, and of course, a black for the iris. And in terms of the detail itself, Godzilla mainly has a combination of his trademark Godzilla skin and these spike parts here all across it, except when you get to the tail. The tail will be a normal tail, but the rest of it is the spiky detail. Starting up at the head, we get some absolutely fantastic details all around the head. Nice detail around the cheekbones, and the nose looks great. Really impressed with the teeth here, as you can see, because they have multiple different sizes. And what I'm talking about is that with Bandai, sometimes they decide to make the teeth the exact same size, which sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But in this case, it looks very nice, and it's also really nicely painted as well. Sure, the entirety of the mouth isn't fully painted, but at least we get a paint job here at the tongue. Looks nice. Wow, look at that. Moving on to the neck here, we get some nice details around the neck with some nice spike details and some nice wrinkle and like scaly-like details on the neck here. Here we see our first little dorsal fin popping out. On the main body, we basically have the spiky detail and some of these like sort of scales here, and they stop right around when you get to the crotch area. Godzilla's arms are very basic, just have the standard Godzilla skin detail along with some very nice paints on these claws here. Sure, they're a little bit overpainted, but in this case, it looks fine. Unfortunately, this arm does have some paint chipping here, but it's fine. Moving on to Godzilla's legs here, they are honestly really short. Nice details all throughout and very nicely painted toes. Of course, it's the same on both sides. And what's impressive is that they managed to detail the actual bottom of the feet. That is really nice. Moving on to Godzilla's long tail here, standard tail detail all throughout it. If you've seen a basic Godzilla tail, you know what to expect. But what's interesting is that they decided to add the copyright detail to the bottom of the tail here instead of on the feet like normal. But anyways, this is copyright 1999, Toho, Kanji, Godzilla 2000, Bandai 1999, made in China with some numbers there. Speaking of the bottom of the tail, beautiful, beautiful wrinkling detail all across, all the way to the very tip of this figure's tail. And now for the best part, the dorsal fins. And oh my goodness, there's a difference between this model and the 2016 model, which we'll show later. Look at the paint! Look at that detail. The nice, rough detail, which is important, trust me, is present all throughout it. And look in between it. They're painted in between too. Again, another important detail for the comparison later in the video. Absolutely fantastic detail on these crystal-like dorsal fins. Wow, this figure is dusty. Wow. Even when we get to the tail, the silver and purple will be present all throughout. Even to, get this, to the very tip of this figure's tail. Now, the only downside I can see here is when you turn here, there's barely any purple. They mainly painted the purple on the other side compared to here. So yeah, so far, this figure is absolutely fantastic. Overall, I'm giving Godzilla's painting and sculpting here a solid 8 out of 10. The only reason why I labeled it as an 8 is because of, one, the painting problem here on the tail, and the legs are a bit too short in my opinion, because just, I don't know, I feel like his legs should be a bit longer. And now that we're done with that, let's take a look at some size and size comparisons. In terms of Godzilla's size here, Godzilla will be around 6.5 or 7 inches tall if you're counting that top spike over there. And as for size comparisons, here he is compared to the Bandai Kaiju series Iris from Gamera 3, Limited Movie Monster series Odaiba Decisive Battle Mega Gearus, and of course, the Bandai Godzilla Island Monster series Heisei Era Godzilla figure. And now for the true comparison, the Bandai 2016 Movie Monster series Godzilla from Godzilla 2000. Now, in many ways, this figure actually is better. At least in terms of paint, that is. See that? There's a highlight here, showing off the details. Now, this isn't that big of a deal, but the best part about this figure is fully painted mouth. That is really nice, wow. Remember that comment I made earlier about these dorsal fin details being very, sharp? Yeah, it's not present on this figure here. You see that? The detail is barely present on these dorsal fins for some reason. I don't know why they decided to make them smoother. I guess they wanted to make it more crystal-like. I'm not sure. If anyone knows, please let me know in the comments down below. Fortunately, with this figure, as you can see, the tail paint stops right here. Not halfway, unfortunately. But yeah, that's really all the comparisons I wanted to make out of this video. And in terms of Godzilla's overall score here, the Bandai Toho Kaiju series Godzilla from Godzilla 2000 will get an overall score of a 9 out of 10. Yeah, this figure is very, very good. And yeah, that's it. It's a very good figure. That's all I really have to say. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.